a movie I watched before, Doctor Strangelove. Uh, First, this is an interesting part of the movie. The two team of the United States soldier were having a gunfight against each other, and there was a poster, like you can see in the picture, said "Peace is our perfection." So this chip, is from a movie called Doctor Strangelove, and like this is part marks the rulers who cheat their soldier to fight for them and use other to achieve their goals. Uh, and that's my major point, main point for the movies. Doctor Strangelove shows it contempt for the government and military terrorists of the Doctor Strangelove shows the contempt for the government and military terrorists of the world and the weakness of the competition between United and Soviet Union with sarcasm and aggression to the viewer. And this is the background information you need to know about the movie. Uh, uh, because the movie is related to the Cold War about the Cuban crisis in 1960. The Cold War began right after World War II. The United States and Soviet Union both had losses in the war, so they don't have enough ways and army to have other wars. On the other hand, the U.S. was the leader for the capitalism, and the Soviet Union was leader of the communism. So they both want to be like the leaders in the world. So the conflict interest could not be avoided. It made the contribution between the two countries become bigger and bigger one day. And also the United States and Soviet Union were having competition on many aspects, including economy, political, military, and diplomacy. The two countries races on everything without having a war. Finally, the Soviet Union broke up, and the United States became the final winner in this competition. Competition. The movie Doctor Strangelove was made by Stanley Kripke in 1964. Uh, the summary for the movie is about the U.S. Air Force General Raper believed the company poisoned the poison to people in the United States with like body fluid. So he started the plan called Planar. The plan was to use plans for throwing the nuclear bombs to the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union would get destroyed by the nuclear bombs, and when the Soviet Union knows about this insane plan, they called the U.S. president and told him that if the Soviet Union got attacked by the US, the Soviet Union would press the doom devices. The power of the devices is enough to destroy all living in the world. Finally, the movie ends up with Dr. Strange's speech and several of the nuclear bombs explode. So in this movie, there was some similar parts between the movie and the history. The Incan lieutenant 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 Mandrick was like a attendant for the United States Air Force Jack Ripper. That was a good monk here because during the Cold War, the England war was likely to listen to the United States. On the other hand, the United States was likely to be leader and control some of the country in the Cold War. The England literature directly shows the England so the England's boss was the United States. He was scared and looked like when she was talking to the U.S. Air Force, but when he knows the price come out, he was finding an idea to fix product. So as the picture you can see the England on the left is the England Lieutenant Mandrick, and On the right, there's the U.S. Air Force Reaper. You can see the Mandrake is so scared about the U.S. Air Force. So there was there was other similar part is that is in the movie the Doctor Strangelove work. Doctor There's another civil part is Doctor Strangelove working the Nazi Germany for the weapon research and development before. This is like for the weapon research the development, and also uh, the first point I made is like the direct the director Stanley Krupke directly direct Doctor Strangelove with sarcasm to among the United States and the Soviet Union exchange the Cold War, one of which was one of which was contempt for the government and military. Like in the movie, as I said before, Jack Flipper was the Air Force general for the United States, and he believed that the reason he got the sex disorder was that the Soviet Union attempt to poison the body of the U.S. citizens. Then he gave the instruction to the Air Force to intake planar carrying nuclear bombs to attack the Soviet Union. And then she shut down the communism from outside the base, starting the war with the cause of sex is truly abused. So this image depicts the characteristics of General Cooper. He was he was a vision figure, as the really always shot him from a low angle. Moreover, Draper always smoked a cigarette that also shows that he would sort of prefer some belief in power and love to Star Wars. So, and on the other hand, when General Park knows the plan had already started at this time, to, he still want to have sex with the secretary. And when like, all the leaders were having a meeting in the war room, the Park was one of Park was the all people in the group, but he was also having a phone call with secretary talking about sex. It declared it like shows that the generals in the government did not care about the peace of the war. The only things they care about is was sex, which was for their own goods. Things seem to be more important than the country security. So it did indirectly among some of the people who work in the government. They only care for their own benefit, equal country security during the time. Furthermore, when the country president were having a conversation on the phone, they just apologize to each other and keep saying they feel really sorry. It was also a strong sarcasm here because the war is not even over, and the president found the United States and the Soviet only worried about who needed to take the responsibility and not to come up with a solution to end up the crisis. It shows that when people who work in the government overcome difficulties, they just pushed the responsibility to the others and did not attempt seek solutions to fix the problem. Another another point is Dr. Strangelove shows the people were fearing the war when the General Parks knows that if the Soviet Union got a cat, they would use the doomed devices and all the living on the earth would be destroyed. This part shows the fight from the general as he was afraid to having a war, and it indirectly shows all the people were fearing the wars would begin during the Cold War, as no one could be safe during the war, and the impression of the war to still harm a lot of people. In addition, when General Park and people who worked in the government believing our plan was called back, the problem was got fixed, and the nuclear bomb would not begin. General Park led people to pray to the God and thanks the God to save them. Then the scene switched to the Doctor Shinlove. He was sitting back in the dark, and someone said, "You have been seen fit to deliver from the force to the evil." It shows that people were afraid to nuclear bomb and hint that the story was not over because the evil side of Doctor Shinlove was still sitting in the dark and submitting that he was the evil in the crisis. The auto-dome devices had internet off because of him, and also believed it was fear of bring the Doctor Strangelove theory of Nazis. It make well cannot even go into this theory. There is also 2000 another plenty story however the there also another point shows the fear of the wars is the climax of the movie. The main character, Dr. Strangelove, sat on the wheelchair and talked about his idea with Nazi sauce. Dr. Strangelove was a German, and he was working in Nazi Germany for the weapon research and development of World War II. The United States make the Dr. Strangelove join the country and work for them. This is what related between Cold War and Dr. Strangelove. In history, after World War II, the United States and Soviet Union were having potential of on the other hand, the student doctors did not call the immune for this was a for there was another call for the German Hitler. He also could not country spread him as the rebel also want to make a military shows for the president. It was also with the country. The movie also marked the weakness of the country between the United States and the Soviet Union when the US president asked the Soviet ambassador to why they made the autonomous answer because Soviet didn't have any more money to spend on the military competition, the space competition, and the peace competition, and the WS cost a small amount of money. So, in addition, the Soviet heard the US have to, they decided to use it. In the Cold War, the Soviet Union and United States want to win the Olympic because of so another picture. So in the movie and a general was certain on the nuclear bomb, and and it's interesting was he don't know he's just uh, making the world doom if he helps his country. If he feels it against the soldier. In conclusion, Dr. Strangelove shows the politicals and the general met the problems that they fix the weapons. It also points out the nuclear bomb were pretty dangerous. People have read about war and the weakness. People should remember the mistake from today so they don't like become fact in the future. This is a way to understand the Cold War from a more humorous and artistic perspective. And this also made us know who people in the 1860s thinks about the Cold War. And this is my work certificate. And that's all my presentation. Thanks for watching.